This is the moment. It is time to put your airborne training to the test and prove the might of the Luftwaffe to all the world. It is your mission to secure the airfields and ports on the island of Crete for the arrival of reinforcements. Push south and destroy the English bases, driving them from Greece and all southern Europe.
Welcome back, folks, to yet another episode of Axis and Allies. In this episode, we will be playing as the Axis and starting their campaign, which is same amount of time, same amount of missions, and supposedly a little bit more difficult, but that's probably true. Anyway, we're doing here the Battle of Crete, which is Crete Island, which is under control of Greece, and was under control during that period of time. But we end up starting here with 3 airborne infantry and not much else to really work with. So first thing you want to do is go ahead and have these men run away really quick. Yes, go ahead and go onto the mountain. You do have a ship here, but however this ship is purely for anti-aircraft. It is not able to physically bombard you. Nor do I believe destroying this actually does anything. I don't think so, at least. You have 2 airborne divisions here, and you can go ahead and build some stuff here as well. So go ahead and build up all the stuff that you want to, and go ahead, and what I would also end up suggesting is to bring some more people down. Now Crete, the actual battle, ended up taking place in, I want to say mid-May of 1941, mid-June, May, I don't remember which month now. Lasts for, I believe, 13 days. And it was the first and only major use of the Fallschirmjäger, which were the German paratroopers. They've been used in more limited quantity during the whole invasions of France, Denmark, Norway, and I believe even Poland. However, I don't remember if they were deployed in Poland like that, though. They may have been more as just ground troops. But again, I could be wrong. Again, this is the first time they were primarily used. The Germans ended up deploying about 15,000 of them through either gliders or low-flying altitude aircraft. And a main reason that they didn't do that well is because the equipment that they'd have starting off, only about a quarter of the paratroopers would have essentially assault guns. I don't remember the type of weapon, however, of what it was. About a quarter of them were equipped with submachine guns, which weren't great because of the distance, because they had a very short distance to be effective. And the remainder were equipped with knives, pistols, and grenades. And the way that they were to get more weapons was pretty much only through signaling to transport aircraft that, hey, you know, I need stuff, here I am, come and help me. It was, you know, just essentially stuff like that, which didn't really blend itself well to what they were trying to do. There's another about 14,000 or so mountain troops that were sent in. However, I don't know if that number is included with a mix of paratroopers or if they're just brought in via sea, because there was a number of like barges and speedboats and that sort of thing that were deployed as well. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and have these guys, which I believe they're all, none of these are heavy. Nope, I'm going to go ahead and have them attack here. All these men go through here. This map is very simple. You don't have to worry about much. There are a few new units. A few things to know is that these airborne infantry and most of the units overall aren't much different than what you would see in the Allied campaign. Of course, there are specialty units. That's really about it. The Fallschirmjäger aren't any different than what you have as the Soviets or the British or the Americans or anything. They're essentially just the same. I need to go ahead and find the other people, but I'm not going to be able to. Just go this way for the moment. And they're all just standing there like, hey, I know that, like, flags came out of nowhere. You know, you're telling them to move. Flags just, like, appear there. What do they do with the flags? I don't know. Just stuff happens. Go ahead and move you. I'm just going to go ahead and kind of get rid of you because I do not need these guys. They're not that good. I prefer the heavy infantry just because they're a little bit better. And, one thing I could do, because I completely forgot to do that, is grab some of this stuff. Now, since this would be essentially the first map, you wouldn't normally have all this tech stuff, but again, because I'm playing with a slight modification, you get all the tech at once, which is nice. Going to deal with this bunker here. Again, bunker's not that difficult, never really have been. Take that, and I've conquered that, and that should allow for a Corpse HQ truck to arrive. Yep, here it is. It would have completely gone stuck on the sand. Perfect. Now, because I'm going back and forth about information because I'm a little bit scatterbrained, I have a few notes, but not that many. Wow, I can't speak either, apparently. The British and Greeks were able to bring forth the British had about 14,000 garrison troops here, and another 25,000 from the mainland. However, only about 5,000 of them were commissioned into any sort of actual role, I think because of lack of weapons or something. And the remainder really weren't able to help that much. They weren't counted as defensive units. Because what had happened is that all these units, all the 25,000 that were brought over, they were, quickly evacuated, and they had to get rid of a lot of their heavy equipment. I believe almost all of their heavy equipment. And a lot of their other equipment just in general. So they didn't have a whole lot. There are about 9,000 Greeks, and about half of them were regular troops. There's another 11,000 militia troops, but they were relatively under-equipped. They didn't have much ammo. They didn't have really any ammo on Crete to take stocks from, and the British were unable to actually give them really any supplies. A lot of the Greek troops were armed with 1895 Mannlichers, not to be confused with a Dutch version of it, or they'd be equipped with I want to say a 6.8 millimeter Schonnorn Kimmler rifle, which was primary arms of Austria-Hungary, and they were grabbed as war reparations after World War I. And there was even a fair number of Greeks that are armed with Maus Krauser 1874 black powder single-shot rifles, and those, as you can imagine, were not that great. And because of all those supply issues, ammo was relatively limited and blah 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 blah. You get the point. I think that's primarily my notes. Yeah, that's pretty much all my notes. I want to give a little bit of information about the battle, just because this one was simple enough. The reason I haven't done it is because these sort of battles are not what I go and look information on. I prefer to look at the smaller, lesser known battles overall, essentially. One thing to note is that there's also 2,700 Italians that ended up helping the Germans here as well. You're attacking the bunker, you're all probably going to end up dying. I'm fine with that, though. Now, these things here, oh, it made a weird noise. These Goliath, what do they refer to them as? Oh, they just refer to them as Goliaths. It's a moving mine, essentially. This was, I find it weird that they have this in the game, especially considering the fact that these Goliath mine things in the mine, they were around 800 pounds. They had, they were controlled via remote control, and they were originally had electric motors on them. However, they really weren't that great because electric motors, during that period of time, they cost a lot of money, they were hard to maintain, but they ended up being shifted to gasoline engines a little bit later on. They would have 3 wires coming out the back, and the wires would equate to about a half mile or so off-road, effective range, and then another about a mile or so, a little less than a mile if they're on-road, distance to actually do what they need to do. But what they would be is that they would be sent out. They're about the size of a coffee table, if I remember correctly. Maybe a little bit taller, maybe a little bit shorter. And they would be loaded with around 60 to 100 kilograms of explosives. And they would be sent under like tanks and detonator, or they'd be sent against mass like infantry, like infantry masses, or sent to destroy buildings or something of that nature. Oh, there's where I was going to go on about that, but I completely just spaced. That's not good. Oh, they were not in production during this battle. This battle took place in mid-1941, and the Goliath wasn't really used, or as far as I know, I don't even know if the prototype was made before 1942, or, it wasn't adopted in any form or fashion before 1942. So why they have it here, I have no idea. But around 14,000 were made during the whole war. Most of them were actually used by, they were used on the Eastern Front primarily. There were a few used in, like in the Gothic Line in Italy, some against the Normandy invasion there, but primarily not a whole lot were really ended up using. A whole bunch were destroyed during the Warsaw Uprising of 1944, but yeah. I didn't go super fast speed. Now these things, again, the Goliaths, you find them in a few missions, but not that many, which kind of sucks, but what can you do? Just gotta go ahead and send them down here. These are really only used against tanks and buildings. They're not used against mass infantry in this game, which is kind of dumb, but whatever. I'm seeing only people out here. Are they like being attacked by tanks or something? Oh no, just bunkers. Hey you, go help them. Or don't. Okay, that's fine too. See, they are going after buildings. There's some stuff here. And they will automatically go to really any buildings, which is super annoying. No matter what you tell them to, they'll just go somewhere. See, they exploded. And they explode there too. You go back to regular speed. Oh yeah, like bad stuff's happening. I'll deal with this. This is German V-weapons, which again, were also not used during this period of time. The V-weapons, as far as I know, weren't really a thing until... I need to get rid of that bunker too. Quickly, before they're able to take it back. That is a second objective, so never mind. Yeah, this map is also incredibly quick. I was also going on something that I don't remember now. Ah, whatever. Mission's already done. That was absolutely pitiful. Especially for commentary-wise. But anyway, into that mission, I'll go ahead and actually do the second mission now, because this is a pretty short video, so let's go ahead and see. It's about the Al Alamein. Great. Let's see how well this is going to end up working. Like, it's not.